Hello, our friends, Evolutionary Energy Arts family.
Hello there, welcome back.
So, okay, we were starting on making this video and then I got sidetracked. And so we did kind of a part one video, or you could look at it as part two. And it's up on Patreon only at the moment, and includes a little deeper dive into some of the things that we're going over. And you just don't know. You honestly really don't know what is the thing that's going to trigger the censorship today.
I know.
You just don't know. You really don't know. And so much of it depends on what the next move is by the power structure. And we will be trying to get a video up on Heart's Own. I have something I wanted to talk about for like 2 days over there. And this is the video that we did just moments ago on Patreon only. Unrestricted warfare and the recolonization of the U.S. and NATO countries. And, again, that 2025 deadline keeps coming up. We may have such change in literally the next 17 months that we might not even recognize things. Literally. Now, if you look at all the signs out there, boy, we have been set up for another Gulf of Tonkin, another Lusitania event, again, another, false banner, FF. NATO ships should accompany grain carriers in the Black Sea and, if necessary, open fire in response to Russian warships. Former commander of NATO forces in Europe, James Stavridis. There's a lot coming out right now. We know that Russia has said that any and all ships going into Ukraine could be looked at as targets of war. Now, if you guys remember, the same thing was said by Germany in World War II. And, again, we had the Lusitania go down, and that really got the public riled up to where they were it made more people ready to let's go and do this. They always want to get us to let's go and do this. They want us to lose our cool, become emotional in a bad way, so they can manipulate us right down a destructive path. This is really what's going on here. And then all signs are pointing towards expansion of the war, probably pretty shortly, maybe within a month or two, maybe a little bit longer. We'll have to see. With that expansion happening in Belarus and also probably Poland. So here you see Lukashenko. Lukashenko is the, whatever you want to term, president, commander, dictator, puppet, interchangeable, right? Anyway, he's the quote-unquote leader of Belarus. And so he gave the All Belarusian People's Assembly the power to approve the military doctrine to impose a state of emergency and martial law, and also to send Belarusian servicemen to other countries. And, you might say, oh, okay, so that means they're going to enter Ukraine. Perhaps. Now, who else is over in Belarus? Wagner. Remember? This is all completely tied together. Then we look at the comments over here. Poland must learn one simple truth. The first step of NATO troops across the Belarusian border will be their last, said Russian ambassador to Belarus, Boris Gryzlov. Poland has announced plans to increase its military presence on the border with Belarus. Moscow and Minsk will not write off the militarization of the borderlands and the aggressive rhetoric of Polish politicians purely on international political processes, the ambassador said. No half measures, no last warnings, no warning shots in the air. That's pretty blunt. Again, there was a fake flag. I did say that. That happened in World War II. And what happened was some German soldiers dressed up like they were from Poland and then crossed in and did some mischief and then went back and put their German outfits on, and it was basically a pretext for Germany and the Soviet Union at that time to invade Poland. And Poland, my mom, who is a military historian, she, said it was laughable because most of the Polish military was still on horseback trying to fight panzers. Panzers are the German tanks, which were far superior to the US at that point in time, or the UK, or the Russian. Why were they superior? Because they had gotten technology from non-humans. In other words, your ETs, your fallen Pleiadians there. Again, there are so many different facets to this great play, because it is a play. And this has all been drawn out for a long time. A long time. We don't have all the details because, again, there is free will. And if we could break the mind control over the masses to where more people wake up and say, you're playing us, then maybe we can, make things be minimal and quickly push away the dark power structure on the planet. That is the hope. But the thing is, don't get caught up in a Messiah complex. This is what they sell. They sell the Messiah complex. Why? So that we won't do anything ourselves. We'll hope somebody's going to come and do it for us.
Mm-hmm. And that's around every corner. This thing that somebody else is going to come save us is everywhere. And then so many people believe it. If somebody disagrees with that, well, they can get attacked by another group of people who do believe it. So they use our belief systems against us. And we can't forget that our free will really is our power. But the problem that has been going on is our free will has been harnessed and it's being shifted and moved around to places that don't really help us. Where this energy is going to, it's not going to help us. So we need to turn around and look at ourselves and see, well, what decisions can we make with our free will that's actually going to make us free? Because so far, as long as we follow the belief system that's in place, we're just keep marching down the same road where we lose more and more and more freedoms.
Yes, absolutely. So we have to understand this. My mom always had a very, very warm spot in her heart for the Polish people because she understood the history of this area. And it's an area where armies have crossed constantly. Now, in reality, that's the same thing with most places on the globe. Not everywhere. There are some places that have been blessed with a little less warfare, but certainly Europe, it has been. And the U.S. has been too, or what is the U.S., we just don't know all those wars and those histories. And Cindy and I have felt them as we've transversed this country. And especially in the American Southwest, there have been atrocities that have gone on there that we don't know about from a historical perspective, but their energetic signature is there. Can feel it, and it is horrible in some areas. Now, again, this type of trauma, when we go into warfare, it's so damaging to souls. It really is. Warfare is toxic to souls. And that's something that the control system understands. Remember those Wagner troops? Well, they were heading up, supposedly. They were having a big rebellion. They were going to go take over Moscow. And then all of a sudden they hung a left and they headed to Belarus. Well, Wagner troops are stressing us because they want to go on an excursion to Warsaw and to Revolt in Poland. This is Lukashenko, so he's the president puppet in a meeting with Putin saying, hey, these guys want to get going. Yeah, well, that's why they're there. That whole thing was obviously a ploy. And they've been training Belarusian troops the whole time. And, in reality, when you think about it, they're mercenaries. So if you think about it, what if it was only Wagner that went into Poland? it would be a group of mercenaries going into Poland to do that on their own. Yeah, again, this is just, everything has been so situated for deniability, for culpability, and also it's all about, again, getting the desired outcome, which quite simply is you have to exhaust humanity to the point that they will accept anything. That's what they're doing. This is what they're doing. It doesn't mean that the war is not going to happen. No, and in fact, again, we've gotten from the guides that in some way, shape, or form, this is what always happens when we're leaving a Kali Yuga, going into a Bronze Age, and the power structure is starting to have its cracks. So just so you know, again, Belarus is here. You can see Russia. You can see Latvia, Lithuania, Estonia is above that. This is the Kaliningrad enclave, which is also Russia, and it's separated, obviously, by Belarus, but they're strongly allied. And then we have Ukraine and Poland. So, yeah, absolutely. Poland probably will. If not Poland, Latvia, Lithuania, Estonia, it wouldn't take but hours to really roll over that and then have more sea access to the Baltic. Again, across over here, then we have Sweden, and then we have Finland up to the north, and then we have Norway on the other side, which are all heading in, they're all becoming part of NATO. So when we look at this, it's just so beyond obvious. It's just a matter of how much time do we have. West alarmed by Ukrainian counteroffensive because, again, there's conflicting numbers. You have some out there on the Ukrainian side saying, we've taken back half of what Russia took. And then you have others that are saying it's been absolutely disastrous. They have said that about 5,000 foreign mercenaries have been killed in these battles. So, some of those are most likely American, British, other NATO countries. As you look at American equipment over here destroyed, and this is Russian tanks going by, and you could see all the American equipment destroyed as they pass through. Again, yeah, it is a time where it's going to be very dangerous in the big cities, and big cities have seen bombardment. They have also seen sieges, and the Battle of the Bulge was an interesting one from World War II, as far as somebody that's of that looking for that historical aspect. But so many of these battles take place on farms and farmland where there really isn't too many people, and of course you got to head for the woods, head for the hills, head for neighbors. This is why we got to be so working together with all of the people that are local with you, and talk about this. No matter what country we're in, talk about, what do we do if all of a sudden we can't communicate with anybody? The power goes out, because that is absolutely part of the plan. 15 Leopards, 20 Bradleys destroyed in one day, Putin confirms. All the while, the U.S. has enough ammo to last a week in a conflict. This has been so telegraphed, so obvious, and again, they should just borrow from the IRS. 60% of Americans say nation on the wrong track, economy weak, and Biden mentally unfit. Well, he thinks he's AI. Maybe he is AI. Maybe that one was AI. Maybe there's actually some more biological mass to another one. Think about what we just saw. There was another survey that said 45 would lose handily to 46. I think, again, most people think this nation is in the worst shape it's ever been in by a mile. How could he win by a landslide? Again, more votes than anybody ever got. The illusion is just wearing away. Now, this is from Sputnik, but they're quoting a different survey. It was a Harvard survey, a Harris poll. So if this is the case, 61% think the country's on the wrong track, then how could he win by a landslide? This doesn't make any sense. Nothing makes any sense other than we are getting played big time.
Yeah, I'm always going to look for the silver lining. I'm always going to look for hope, and I'm always going to hold on to hope. I'll never, ever give up hope, no matter how lousy it looks out there. So, hopefully, you guys, they're just showing that we are really weak. We are really incompetent. We are really not well because maybe somewhere back there, maybe we're stronger than we say. I know it's probably not true, but I'll never give up on the hope.
No, and I'm just grateful that I have her by my side, because that's the biggest blessing in my life every day. And so again, show your love to everybody that you have a chance to show it to now. And, I would recommend reaching out to those that are clueless and, try to give them a little heads up. I understand sometimes that doesn't work. And sometimes, they think you're a loon. You're wearing your tinfoil hat. But, I think there's less and less people every day that view us as having tinfoil hats on. And probably the ones that do, they don't have control of their own thought processes anymore, as frequencies are taking things over. Another 10,000 IDF reservists announced they won't serve anymore. This is over in Israel. Excuse me, guys. And this is what we need, is more people in the military saying, I just can't do this. This is just wrong. And that's exactly what we need to happen globally. And it is going to happen globally. And they do have contingency plans for that. And so should we. And recognize what they're going to do. Because they're again going to utilize technology that blows our minds away. But over in Israel, you have Netanyahu, who's back again. I mean, he's like gum on the bottom of your shoe that just won't go away. And, he's back again, in control again, and many believe he's trying to take power where he can't be made to give it up anymore, and it's heading towards a dictatorship. By the way, he's in the hospital for a pacemaker. Because, again, these negative energies will end up eating them up alive. We have to let go of all the anger, let go of all the hatred. Don't let ourselves be caught up in it. And when we talk about taking action, we're talking about taking action in a positive way, not being pulled into the drama, working around what they're going to lay out as far as roadblocks. He also says he's going to keep going forward with judicial overhaul, which is going to take power away from judges and just keep it in his hands. Over in Peru, we see clashes with indigenous people that look very, very oppressive. They're firing tear gas at hundreds of people who gathered to demand the resignation of the president over there. This worldwide realization that even in Peru and in many small countries, not that Peru is small, but countries all over the globe that haven't been in the middle of the headlines all the time, like Ukraine is, where, and again, the NATO countries, the BRICS countries, people are tired of what they can see as just rampant, blatant corruption that is so inhumane. It's so anti-life. It's so anti-everything that is kind of good in the world. They're getting tired of it. You keep pushing people till they're just about to go off the cliff. They got no choice but to go back in the one direction that, is not going to lead to off the cliff.
You do. You get to that point when it's really important to... You have to face things head on at some point, and you do that with everything that you have. You do that with all the soul in your body because you want things to change. And I think we all need to be somewhat in that spot, but we don't condone violence here on this channel. But at the same time, there are ways to stand up for yourself. There are ways to push back that do not need to be violent. And we can figure this out together.
Absolutely. Emergency rooms swamped as record heat above 100 Fahrenheit wilts the U.S. South. Everywhere from California, Nevada, Arizona, Texas, New Mexico, Oklahoma, Arkansas, Louisiana. It is summer, and the temps are hot. And, in the South, which, I've lived for the majority of the last 20 years in the southern tier or over in Death Valley, with a brief little interlude in New Mexico up in the mountains. Yeah, it's always kind of 90 to 100. It's kind of what it is. Yet we see temps that, well, at least we see people screaming from the rooftops. We're melting. We're all melting away right now. Well, again, is it a coincidence that they're rolling out the CBDCs, carbon credit, and all that? Is it a coincidence that, you're going to get loopholes depending on how much land you own, how much acreage you own? And, of course, we have Gil Bates, #1 farmland owner in the U.S., as well as many companies like your BlackRocks, your Vanguards, etc., buying up land, buying up acreage. No, there's no coincidences. And then, I don't doubt that emergency rooms are swamped because a lot of people have very, very thick blood that seems to coagulate and is not flowing normally anymore. Greece, evacuation underway, and we were talking about this yesterday. This has looked very, very apocalyptic. And again, these wildfires springing from nowhere. Are they really from nowhere? Again, there's so many. Think about Greece. Greece has had so many issues with migrants and immigrants coming in from Turkey. And, that could be the trigger for a war between Greece and Turkey because, they've had a lot of tense moments over, Turkey allowing them in and Greece not liking that. Again, so, you could have people that are setting up campfires, they get out of control. You could have people that are drunken or on some sort of, substance. And then, of course, you could have people that are doing it intentionally, 100%. Then there's also technologies. That was a strange beam of light. Did you see that? Well, look, there's a fire. We better get out of here. Yeah, we have all the above going on, as well as volcanoes and volcanic activity. And here up in Alaska, major eruption up to 40,000 feet, Shishelden. This is an active one, and, there are going to be a lot more. And again, when you have a temperature raging in the body, it's usually to fight off an infection. Same thing going on with Mother Nature because, we've been infected by this system that is toxic and polluting. And again, we need to recognize, the system is so toxic, but why are they doing everything now? Why are they becoming environmentalists now? Again, it's all about, obviously, the control grid. And remember, now there's going to be a CURE for anthrax, just like we've had before, the ouchie type things. Careful to be bringing this up, but why that when you have 2 or fewer naturally occurring cases per year for the past 30 years? Well, remember, there were cases supposedly over in Russia where people left being isolated. Yeah, well, we get it.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, there's so much going on. And so much that we really need to be mindful of, so much we need to be detoxing for. To be deliberately detoxing, I think, should just be the standard norm right now, the way things are going. And there's all kinds of ways to do that. There's just the simplest way that I know of is just drink your lemon water. Just keep that going through your system because that's going to help you get rid of the toxins and help you feel just a little bit better. But no, this is where our minds need to be is, how can I clean my body out today? Because they're deliberately pouring this stuff on top of us. So we need to deliberately be allowing it to leave.
Yeah. And for those that, and this is again, the vast majority of you have been with us for quite a while for the most part. And no, we don't pull punches. And we, again, we could be one of those channels that's saying, don't worry, that big explosion, that was the, good guys taking out a reptilian nest underground. Don't worry, trust the plan. Yeah, no. Again, that's a distortion, and that's again all about giving the false hope that leads to complacency and leads into, well, they're going to get this under control. I know it. I'm not going to worry about things. Now we don't want you worrying about things, but we want you being as prepared as possible. And so again, that's working with neighbors, friends, family. In some cases, we know of people that have been in certain areas, they've been in certain circumstances, and hey, they decided their brother has a farm. They're hanging with their brother. They're coming together with family, even if it's uncomfortable, or going to be with friends, or again, taking even people in, that, and you have to be careful with that. Whoa, very, 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 very careful with that, because again, you might be clean as a whistle, but in these times, I know there's a lot of people that imbibe out there of different substances. We would not advise imbibing in anything that alters the frequency of your mind. The only imbibing we do is Qigong, meditation, yoga. And coffee, yes. I am guilty of black coffee right now. I mean, I don't put sugar in anything. I haven't put sugar in anything. Sugar, it leads to inflammation, and it'll weaken your immune system, and that includes obviously high fructose corn syrup and all those type of sweeteners. But even overdoing it on the good natural stuff can also cause inflammatory response. So be aware of that. If you are buying, say, honey, which would be a better option in many cases, get local honey. Go to your farmers markets. We went to a new farmers market over the weekend, and it was wonderful. And it's great to see them thriving. They really are thriving. It's so key to support each other. Get to know that farmer. Shake his hand. Talk to him or her. One was sharing with me this watermelon that I bought, because the last watermelon I bought from the store, I don't think I even told Cindy. When it got down a little bit, sometimes I'll juice them and mix it with fresh ginger and organic celery juice. And I got this vision of blackness. And so that blackness is related to this that you're looking on the screen right now. And this is being uploaded into our produce, no matter how clean it is. And so you might think, how can I beat this? Well, the guides, we were wondering, because we use reverse osmosis. Cindy actually double filters everything. We do have a distiller. We have a reverse osmosis machine. We have like 4 other water purification systems as well. This stuff, the guides were saying magnets can take care of this. And what was shungite, was it? I think shungite.
Yeah, shungite is a way to help purify water. Magnets, I'm not super clear on the exact process of that, but there are ways to get our water clean. I do double filter the water. We also put back in the other nutrients and things that it needs, the minerals trace minerals that our body needs. So we spend a good amount of time, and our water goes into glass containers, and then it's really important to allow your water to sit there and then charge it with love, charge it with Reiki, charge it, whatever your modality, whatever feels good, charge the water. And as it sits there in that glass jar, it's becoming more powerful. It's really actually common practice in some areas to let your water sit for at least 24 hours before you drink it. And I would invite anybody to actually try that and see the water actually gets into your cells a lot easier. So I found that kind of fascinating when I do my little experiments around here.
Yeah, I was saying to Cindy, because we'll work on getting more information from the guides as I was just starting to do research on how to get this stuff. This stuff is magnetic. So I was thinking about putting magnets on the bottom of glass containers, because again, we don't drink out of plastics. You don't want to drink out of plastics. This is part of the estrogen problem going on. This is, also contributing to lack of testosterone in men. If you are on the other side of 35, like me, chances are your testosterone levels are not that high. And then if you're drinking out of plastics all day long, you're going to be increasing those estrogens.
Right. So, finding out ways that works for you. Our bodies are very, very different. So just if I make a suggestion, that might not work for you. So this is where people, it's super critical. You do your own research and you figure out what's going to work for you. Charcoal is a great thing to do. Charcoal is wonderful, but it's not for everybody. So you really need to read up and make sure that it's safe for you, and then try little baby doses and go from there.
Yeah, eating whole foods, again, non-processed foods. The processed foods, they're just crazy. They're not foods. So what is a whole food? Well, like an apple, like a watermelon, like a peach, a plum, like a piece of celery, a carrot. But then again, non-GMO, because again, that is going to cause inflammatory response, as well as other things. So, here you see China, birth rates hit all-time low. Singapore, birth rate has reached a record low in 2022. U.S. population flatlining. Well, yeah, it would actually be going down if it wasn't for all the immigrants coming across the border. Italy, birth rates dropped to historic low. Japan, birth rates declined 7th consecutive year, new record low. South Korea, birth rates remain alarmingly low. And wait till they look at 2023 and 2024. It's clear. Again, what's happening is what happened to Neanderthals and Denisovans. It's not a natural process. Now, 90% of all coastal areas are going to be affected by rising sea levels due to climate change. Why does Barack own this? Why does Nancy own that? And why does Gil own that? Yeah, again, we listen and hear what they say, but what they do doesn't back up what they say. All their plane trips, again, it's just so beyond obvious. ET might even harness nearby red dwarfs using Dyson spheres. Oh, absolutely. Absolutely. And again, this is part of that disclosure. This is from Forbes. There was also a Star Trek The New Generations one where they talk about encountering a Dyson sphere object, and then talk about all the people that could possibly be living inside of it with unlimited energy at their fingertips. What's this kitty doing? Does he love that bird? Is that his buddy? Is that his bird? It's kind of like how the power structure treats us. Oh, here, nice. We're doing this for you. Gonna be a tasty meal.
I know, he's looking at how wonderful he looks, and his feathers are so bright and shiny, and that means the inside of him is probably pretty healthy too. I think that's just the cutest thing.
So again, guys, we want to thank everybody for their support over on Patreon. Come and join us for even just $1 a month. So what's that? 33 cents a day or something? Not even that. My math isn't even close there. We're talking pennies a day. Pennies a day. Oh, this was a good one. This one was good. You could see that. Our projections show that by the year 2025, wow, that year keeps popping up, doesn't it?
It does, and we definitely want to say thank you to Richard, Bonnie, Gray, and Ant or Grasshopper. You guys, we really, really appreciate your support, and this is what's allowing us to continue on, because we tell you the censorship, it's just getting tighter and tighter, and so far this is working. We're able to get some stuff up here.
Yes. So thank you guys. We so appreciate you being part of this family and on this journey with us. We love you guys. God bless and namaste.
Namaste.